to the SideQuest.
Welcome to our little bonus side episodes. This is the bonus, and apparently that's Mariah Carey.
Yes. So next episode is on Mariah Carey, but this episode is on listener questions.
Yeah. And who are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. I'm Samantha.
I'm Arlie.
And I'm Emily.
I was about to say I'm Emily. I was about to steal
You're going to pull us
You've
Samantha.
already stolen my identity. You're going to steal my identity next. Damn.
All right. Well, we had a lot of really good questions this week I think are useful and helpful, especially for this time of year. So can I ask you guys some?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
This one is from...
Oh, wait. If they want to ask us questions, they can email us at hthm@myhandyma'am.com.
You can. All right. Now let's get
good.
into it. This is the side quest, not the long quest. You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Side quest can be long quest. Though.
This is an amazing human that I know from Olivet College and we used to live in the same city. Aaron, this question is from you. Thank you for sharing it. Do I need a permit if I'm replacing the deck boards but not the substructure on my deck?
Technically, usually, no. But
Give them the but, the
there's
asterisk.
a few, like we're doing one in a town right now, that if you remove the railings and put new railings on, you need a permit.
Yeah.
So just look it up, but
Yeah.
also just
Yeah.
So
go
usually,
for it.
if you're putting new boards on and putting the railings back on, usually no. If you are doing something new that is a safety item, then yes.
But if your deck doesn't have railings and you're just replacing the deck boards,
No permit.
no.
Yeah.
And some people might not know this. If your deck is 30 inches or less, you might want handrails, but you're not required to have them. Therefore, the permit rule doesn't apply because you're not required to have them anyway.
Yeah. That's 36 inches high.
Yes. No, 30 inches high.
30 inches high. But not wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, not wide. And when I wanted to double check for this project, I just emailed our inspector. I literally Googled blank, fill in the city, building inspector, email address. And it just pulled it up, and I emailed him, and he gave me an answer within a few hours. So, yeah, it can be pretty easy.
Some people don't know this. Homeowners can pull permits for
can.
anything on your house. So.
You can. If you're doing the work yourself. You cannot pull a permit so that your contractor can avoid pulling a permit.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
So, yeah, and it's not like we're like the legalese police, like, oh, don't do that. The reason we say not to do that is so that you're legally protected.
Yeah.
So, if your contractor is licensed, like we're licensed for our clients, which means if we were to royally mess up or something were to go wrong, they have legal recourse, and then there's something that can be taken away from us.
Right, that's exactly it. If you're licensed and you do something bad, then you can get your license taken away.
And you can be held accountable.
Yeah, but if you're unlicensed, then
Yeah.
you'd have to sue them to get anything.
They have multiple reasons to do it correct than just, like,
Yes.
to be an honest person. It's also because they want to keep
They have a
their
little more
license.
skin in the game. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, our next question. I knew your name. I'm so sorry. Between reading it and my brain putting it on paper, I lost it. But you'll know who you are, and thank you for this question. In your last episode, you talked about putting down 3 to 5 inches of mulch to keep weed growth down and to limit the watering that you have to do. So to limit weeds and limit watering. I've already put down a weed barrier sheet. Can I still mulch, or do I have to do rock?
You can absolutely still mulch.
Yeah. Yeah, you can mulch.
Here's my caveat. If you put down permeable weed barrier, then you can plant plants and things will get water. If you put down plastic weed barrier and you intend for things to grow there, you won't get any weeds, but you also won't get any growth because they can't get any water. So that's just that's just a little side note.
Also, I'd like to clarify, we're in the Midwest, specifically Michigan, and so we don't have to worry about this, but if you live in a place with a lot of cockroaches and other stuff, someone commented, like, I'm not doing that because
Like, we can't do mulch here.
Yeah, it breeds
mosquitoes and cockroaches,
Yeah.
they said.
Not a problem for us. If that is a problem for you,
Don't do it.
don't follow our advice. So,
Yeah.
we've all lived in Michigan our whole lives, so that's the only perspective we have.
Yeah.
So
When I was doing my research on our landscaping episode, I looked into a lot of, like, local landscaping, like, websites and stuff, and they have a lot of really great information. Like, I found a ton of different websites that were, like, super knowledgeable about, like, Midwestern, like, landscaping. So if you are in an area where, like, there's obviously different, like, vegetation and animals and stuff, you might want to look into your local landscaping.
Check subreddits, too.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Reddit will give you the real info.
Yeah.
They'll be like, my mom did this, and she had 17 bajillion cockroaches in her.
Do you want to hear a tale from the field that will give you the heebie-jeebies?
I don't know.
Sorry, guys, and I don't even have a solution for this one.
What kind of trigger warning should we give the people right now?
Ticks. That's your trigger warning. So there was 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, I know the story.
One of the local providers of mulch, it's a reputable company, but whatever happened, their entire mulch supply was loaded with ticks.
Oh, I
How does that
don't
even
know this
happen?
story.
You don't know that? Yeah. So, like, we used to get our mulch there, but then that year that happened, and I was like, even if it's not really fair. I'm sure it didn't happen every year, but I had to go someplace else because I
That's
can't.
terrifying.
I
My
can't
dog had
manage
2
it.
ticks this last weekend, and I thought I was going to throw her out with the bathwater, so.
Okay, this next question is also from Erin.
Oh, thanks, Aaron.
So this is something that at least 50% of you have already experienced. She said, my handrail came off the wall and pulled the metal anchors out of the wall.
Ugh.
Can I patch it using the mudding and patch technique that you showed? The little, what's the name of that patch?
The flex patch?
The flex patch. Can I patch it that way, and then can I put the handrail right back in?
Sort of. I guess it kind of depends. So if your handrail came out of the wall, it may not have been secured properly in the beginning, which probably means it wasn't in studs. So if that is the case, you can patch it, and then you can put your handrail back into studs because they probably weren't in the right
I think
spot.
she's saying, can she put it back in the same place?
No.
The answer is
No.
no. No, because
Especially a flex patch, that's not
they're not
structural.
structural.
At all.
No. But if it came out, it is almost entirely because it was not into studs.
No, of course not. They wouldn't need anchors. There wouldn't be anchors if it was in studs. So one thing, I totally understand why people put a handrail in and use anchors. I understand why that is. The placement of finding a stud is sometimes really difficult. But you really should never put a handrail in that doesn't have at least both ends of it in a stud.
And if you can't do that, and you are proficient at drywall patching, I would cut open the wall, add blocking in between studs.
The other thing you could do, let's assume we live in a fairyland where there are no studs in your wall, which is not true, but if you can't find them.
If there's no studs in your wall, that's really scary.
The least bad option for you to do that isn't in a stud is, and especially this will work, is to use a toggle bolt. Because they do spread.
Oh, I wonder if you could.
Well, you can't, but you can only do it on things that have the ends like this. So you can use a toggle bolt because they require a large hole to go in. So probably the hole that your anchor made is about the right size for a 1/4-inch toggle bolt. And basically what toggle bolts do is they go in folded like this. So
Like
this
an
is the back end of it. They
mouth.
come,
Yeah,
and this
if
is
you're
the wall.
listening, we'll post something.
Yeah, they come, so they go through like this, and then as soon as they pop through, they go boop and open up. So basically, you have the weight of that. You have this whole line of hardware pushing against the wall instead of like just something basically with threads or like a little bit of like destroyed plastic back there to keep it. So anyway, put it in the studs. You want a stud finder or deep wall scanner, both of which we've talked about. And you can use the same handrail. So sometimes it's like they have the brackets and they're not in a stud location, but you can move the brackets where they're
easily.
attached to the handrail.
Yeah.
And then fill those holes with wood filler.
I have this cool tip that I have learned. So basically, if you put your handrail back on in its original location, now make sure that it's the correct height. It should be around 34, 36 inches.
It's 32 to 40
No,
is acceptable.
34 to 38. And it has to be from the stair nose to the top of the handrail.
Yes.
That's where you measure
So it has
from.
to be an appropriate height. And if yours was already at an appropriate height, then before you take it off the wall or, have somebody hold it up to where it was before, take your stud finder, and that's when you can find your studs right below your handrail, because it's hard to find your studs in that exact line because obviously at every single stud it's going to be a different height.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do with my brackets. And then you make sure that they're exactly where they're supposed to be. And then you can take it off, take your old handrails
Yeah, because you
off
can
and
leave
put
your
the new parts
handrail
on.
where the handrail belongs.
Exactly.
But then you can move your brackets
exactly
up or down to hit a stud.
Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things to do. And also, you should have a bracket every 48 inches or less. You shouldn't go more than 48 inches without having a bracket into the wall.
Yep.
And then you can always move your brackets or your handrails a little bit in order to make it hit like studs. So say that your handrail is almost going to hit the stud at the very top, and it has a little room to wiggle at the bottom. You can move it up a little bit from where it used to be to hit that last stud, because it's better to have that in a stud than it is obviously to not have it in a stud.
And there's obviously a reason why 34 to 38 inches is the guideline, but having a handrail at a height outside of that that's in a stud is going to be safer than having a handrail in the correct height that's just in drywall.
Exactly.
Yeah. Emily has said this before when she talks about aging in place. Not having a handrail, you know what you're getting into when you're going down the stairs. You're going to be paying attention. You're going to be holding onto the walls. If you have a handrail, you're planning on it helping you if you fall. And if it just pulls out of the wall, you're going to get hurt worse.
Yeah. I always say the best or the worst safety equipment is poorly installed safety equipment, because if it fails, that's really dangerous.
So we're at about 13 minutes. So can we do one more question?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so this last question is from Debbie, who happens to be
Debbie.
listener and a friend of ours. And she said, does pressure-treated lumber contain chemicals that can poison the soil and plants?
So, I've done research on this, and the short answer is yes. But it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, because they've done studies, and like the amount that gets into your vegetables or whatever isn't that toxic. I personally use cedar because I don't want it at all. But it's kind of a you decide what you're comfortable with.
I think you've given this guideline before. If you put fence posts in the ground, it's not going to like spread out and poison your stuff.
Yes.
Just don't build with pressure-treated lumber the things where you grow your food.
Yeah. Well, also, like, if you chew on pressure-treated lumber, you'll get sick. I don't know how sick, because I've never personally done it.
Not great.
Probably not great. But
Legal
grass,
disclaimer, don't chew on it.
Yes. Please do not. That's not a good idea. But the grass still grows next to a post that is in the ground. So, like, you might not want to eat that grass or, like, eat the post, but you can still grow vegetation next to it. And things will still grow.
I would say,
but
just don't grow the things you're planning to
It's
eat.
kind of like with like breastfeeding mothers, like they can have a certain amount of alcohol and it doesn't affect the baby. I think it's
Or
kind of like
caffeine.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Anyway, well,
don't
thank
breastfeed
you
from
to-
pressure-treated lumber. I don't know.
thank you to Erin and Debbie and the person who I'm so sorry whose name I can't remember.
Anonymous.
We appreciate you asking these questions, because some people will be like, I knew that, but there's 10 people for every one person like that who has not done it before.
Yeah, they
doesn't
don't know that.
know what the answer is. and
I just learned the origin of windmill.
Okay.
It's literally a mill powered by wind for grain. Don't know why I never put two and two together, but if you ever want to feel not dumb, there you go.
Well, that's it, folks. We won't make this a Midwest goodbye either. So, shall we, ladies?
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for coming. We'll see you Friday. Mwah.